Over 100 years ago, the Sheringham shoreline would have been dotted with dozens of small fishing vessels. A number of these little wooden boats form part of an historic and unique collection at the Sheringham Museum, the Moe.
When we first made the application for our first lottery grant, we needed support from other museums in a form of a written letter. And one of those was from the Newcastle Maritime Museum. And they, funnily enough, said, and it surprised us, that they thought that our collection of crab boats was more important than the lifeboats. And I suppose if you analyse it, they're not built anymore. We had double enders here. That means pointed at both ends for a very good reason. They evolved because they were landing on Stony Beach in fairly rough weather. There was no harbour here. And so it was a form of safety, and this is how the boats evolved for the typical type of beach that we have here. We've got 4 in this museum, and we're very lucky to have them. Some of them are in a different state of repair, and we've done them up, but they're still a very valuable part of the museum, and because fishing was how the town started. Can you imagine Sheringham in the old days when they were fishing? Now, the town wasn't here. Everybody lived in Upper Town or Upper Sheringham. And instead of having to walk a mile there and walk a mile back, if they built their cottages here and they had their boats here, it was a lot more sensible. And you see the flint cottages. You've got Gun Street out the back here, all flint cottages. It's where the fishermen lived. Chicken Slope out the back here, there's some more cottages there. And the town virtually was flint-built cottages. You imagine there was perhaps at times 150 odd boats on this beach. No engines in them, they were all rowed and sailed. You had to have rope makers, sail makers, boat builders, and you also needed the backup for the family, like bakers and butchers and all the rest of it. The crews of the lifeboats and the crews of the fishing boats wouldn't exist without the other half of the town. So they went fishing. They would fish all during the summer, mainly for crab and lobster. And then as autumn came on, they would of course think of herring. I mean, that's the thing of the past. But they'd catch a lot of herring here. A lot of it would be taken down to Yarmouth or sold locally. They would long line for cod and haddock. We had 4 boat builders in Sheringham at various times. That's all finished, it's all gone. But the last ones was the Emery's. It's now summer flats at the back of Lifeboat Plain. The Enterprise over there was built by the Emery's and owned by one of the Emery's. Quite an interesting little thing about that one. He went to sea one day and forgot to put the plug in, and so he started to fill up with water. He came back very quickly, but from then on in he was always known as Plug Emery.
You can see Plug Emery's boat, the Enterprise, and the other historic fishing vessels at the Sheringham Museum.